everybody, a classic off A Night at the Opera. It's actually written by Brian May, and there's a good interview. He actually plays a little bit of it, talks about the song and how he wanted to take, because it's in 3/4 time, standard tuning also. And by the way, my notes are linked below the video. Click on that and you'll have the tab that I wrote out for this. He wanted a waltz type 3/4 song that rocked, and come up with a lick for it, he said. And if you know, waltz is da 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 da, so he really rocks this out. So we're gonna go over it. So for this song, I got my sixpence and my Brian May guitar. That's just a standard off the shelf. I'm using all 3 pickups, all in phase. So basically all the switches are down. Rolled off the tremble a little bit. I'm playing through a Brian May pedal set to, I think it's Tie Your Mother Down type tone, which really helps, and that's going through a clean Fender. So it really helps to get, along with these trisonic pickups, the Brian May song. Because I like to get you the song as close to as possible. Although this is fun to play just on a regular Tele or Les Paul, doesn't matter. Alright, so to start out with, our chords will be basically E, D, and A. So the way he does it, he's going to hit the E on the 5th string and then the chord through the 2nd string. Then he's going to add, I'll call this suspended. You just put your pinky down on the 2nd string at the 10th fret, hit it, and then lay off. Alright, we'll do that same thing, hitting the D note before we hit the chord, and then add our suspension. Now the A is not, if you listen to it, there's just a little hesitation between the chord and the suspended. Alright, and then he goes into this really cool lick. He's going to hit the 6th string E open, then go to the E note on the 4th string 2nd fret. And then grab the 6th string at 3 with a slight bend and then open. So it's pretty quick. So going through that up to that point, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so we'll repeat the chords through the A, and then he does a little walk up. Now when Brian talks about this in his interview, he just does the walk up here. But he quickly goes to E in the recording, so that, to me, I think when he recorded this, he went from the G sharp to A sharp and B, because that put him right there at this position. So that's how I wrote it out. So we're going to hit the open 6th string and walk up from the 4th fret. And that again puts you in position. We're going to do the chords again. Now we just come back to E, hit it twice, slide down. We'll do that again without sliding down. So we go through the chords. And then we're into the verse. Alright, so that's the intro. Like I said, wrote that out for you. We've got verse 1, and there's a few parts to it, and of course verse 2 is a little different, and so forth. But for verse 1, what he does, he doesn't hit the leading note. He just plays the E chord, then the suspended, then it with it off. We don't play the D, we go right to A. Then we're going to play a couple power chords, B to A. Alright, so we have this so far. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then he does this cool little lick here. We're going to hit open E, then that's sixth string, and then sixth string, fourth fret to the second fret of the fifth and fourth. A little arpeggio here. All right. So with the arpeggio, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we're going to go back to E and A. All right, at this point, he'll do the B to A power chords. Then he comes back to E for 2 hits and slide back. At that point, and this is basically the same in the next chorus, we're shortening it up. That kind of counts as our E with the suspended. So we're going to move right to the A, and then our B, A again, and then our arpeggio. So let me take it from the second half of this verse. Then we do the arpeggio again. All right, now we change it. All right, we're going to go to this. So, to end this verse, we've done the shortened A, then B, A power chords, our arpeggio. Alright, now he goes into a B. We're going to add our pinky up to the 6th fret of that 4th string, and it'll be hit the root note, hit the chord, then add this, and then take it off. Repeat. Then we move this up to a C sharp, and what we're going to do is play a C sharp minor, but we're going to hit the root first and then the chord. Actually hit the chord twice. Slide it off, hit an A power chord, and then he does this lick. Alright, so we're sliding into the 4th fret of the 5th string, coming to the 2nd fret of the 4th with a hammer on and pull off from the 4th fret, and landing back on that 4th fret of the 5th string. And right away he's back into the, so what helps is we can hit the open 6th string rather than the E note, that's an E note, rather than the E note on the 5th string. That's as you're coming back. Alright, he'll do the chords with the E twice, and then we're into chorus 1. Okay, for the chorus, we're going to go into a set of licks. Alright, the first 2 licks will repeat 3 times before we change positions. Alright, so I'm going to do that very first set of them. Alright, so what we're doing here is going to the 5th string, 7th fret, pulling off to 5, and then coming back to 7 and 5, and then landing on 7 on the 6th. Then we come to the 4th string at the 5th fret, pull that down after we hit a slight bend, then hit 7 on the 5th string. So we have this for the first half. Now we're just going to move this down and start off with the 4th string rather than the 5th string. And then we just stay on that 4th string with the bend down and grabbing 7 on 5. Okay, so we have this for the first set of licks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we'll repeat. One more time. change positions and we'll do this. Alright, so real cool lick here, and I really debated about how to play this. And I decided to use this E note here at the 2nd fret. But if you're comfortable, just substitute 7 at the 5. But to start off with, we'll be on the 4th string, and I'll show you why this made sense to me. We're going to pull off 5 to 4, come back to 5, 4, and then 2 rather than 7. And then we're right there to pull down 5 slightly and hit 3 on the 5th string. And again, we'll start the lick just like we started it off, all the way to 2 rather than 7. Then we just go to 3 and then hit the A note on the 6th fret. It just made more sense than moving your hand back and forth. Alright, so then you take your whammy bar down. I love these Brian May guitars because they just stay in tune. So the reason for that, they have this 0 nut. Now, if you're not familiar with what a 0 nut is, it's a fret at the 0 position just below the nut of the guitar, and the actual nut becomes more of a string tree holding the strings in position, and they rest on that fret, which is slightly higher than all the rest. So when you use your whammy bar, and this has locking tuners, which also helps, you're really just going back and forth through this, I call it now a string tree, which is normally the nut, and it'd be cut a little closer to the strings and higher. So we're not really riding on the nut, we're just guiding it, if you will, with that 0 fret. So that's what that is. Sorry to deviate, no education if you don't know. If you do know, my apologies. So verse 2, measure 1 is just like verse 1. Measure 2 difference. So just like verse 1, we're going to do our E, A with the suspended, A in the suspended, to B, A power chord, and then our arpeggio. Alright, back to our E and A. And then back to E. Alright, now this is the shortened part, so we come back to A. At this point, in verse 1, we did another arpeggio. At this point, he does 2 hits on E and a slide down. Alright, then we're into, just like verse 1, our B with our 6th added or pinky note. Up to C sharp minor. Up, and then the A and lick. Alright, the only difference when we come off of that lick and we go through the E, D, A, back to E, we don't do it 2 times like they did in verse 1. They do it 1 time and they're into the chorus 2. Alright, so the end of verse 2. Alright, so we know that lick. Then we're into a bridge. So at the end of chorus 2, he reprises the intro. Alright, so we're going to do those chords again. Only difference, he slides down and then catches the E on the 4th string to the 6th string 3 pull down to open. Rather than... Alright, so that's one difference. The second time through, he just goes to our E, hits that twice, and they're both held. Then we're into the bridge. Now the bridge will start out with our B right up to the pinky back, pinky back. Then he goes up to the 5th fret for a D power chord, slides it down to an A power chord. Alright, so again, this is the bridge. It's a little different. What he does is the E chord with the suspended and without. Then he does it again with the root note. And then a down, up, down. Alright, at that point, he slides back to a B power chord, hits it twice, once with the pinky, and then 3 more times and held. Sliding up to a C sharp, then a D, and then A power chord. And then ending on a D power chord. Then we come back in with a very shortened verse. We're going to go from, and there's no singing here, so I consider this part of the bridge. We'll do the E with the suspended to A and the suspended, then B, A, then come back to 2 hits on E, which will count as like, again, this is a shortened measure, then we're back to A, B, A, and then E. So it'll sound like this. Then we're into chorus 3. So that's the difference with the bridge. There's just a couple times where the chords are reprised from the intro, the shorter little verse in there. So, you know, you just got to pay attention to the structure of the song. Now, chorus 3, we'll go through the notes that we know, and then Brian will continue jamming in that style. Okay, they kind of speed up and go through. I've written out at least 3 more measures of it, and then I copied the tab, which playing with it is very close to what he does, but it's really kind of off the cuff. So I'm not going through it. You've got the whole structure of the song, and you can play along with it and just start jamming and playing in these different positions, and you really have fun with it. It's a really great song. So hats off to Brian. I hope you guys enjoy.